guys, Gakart197 again, this time with a review of the 1/144 scale Real Great Gundam Mark II Titans version from the Zeta Gundam series. And as always with the Real Greats, let's start by having a quick look at the quite nice box. Now, the lid isn't anything special. You have the standard picture, some things you can, some internal detail showing how it looks straight built, real grade. Oh yeah, you've also got perfect English text on it, so I cannot poke fun at it. And here are some action poses, and one of the main events of this version, the test pods. Now, the lid is pretty normal. It's a bit more glossy than a normal box, but what's especially interesting is the bottom. Instead of being plain white cardboard, it has a glossy black finish, with other versions of the Mark II on it. The high grade, BB Senshi, Gunpla, the Mark II version 2.0, and the perfect grade. The bottom, nothing going on, but it does have a nice glossy finish. Hey there. And with the box out of the way, let's once again focus on the mobile suit itself. Now for colors, you got two shades of blue, one dark and one very dark. Then you've got black, one shade of black, two shades of gray, illustrated on the backpack. The backpack itself is a dark gray, and then you've got lighter gray for the boosters here. Then to wrap it up, you've got one shade of red and one shade of orangey yellow. For stickers, you of course only need the eye stickers for the model itself, and you have two choices actually. You can either have the one I applied, which is just a normal eye sticker. You've got the black and the eyes in one sticker, or you've got the black and then the eyes separate. Now, they did this so that if you do it this way, the eyes will look a bit more 3D. It's a bit more finicky and a bit more trouble, but the end result is a bit nicer. Now, also have some stickers for the scopes of the weapons. And those are all the stickers you need, but it wouldn't be a real great if it didn't come with a whole lot of different stickers to apply to your liking. So yeah, have a lot of fun applying these. Hours of fun, no doubt about it. On to the articulation, which is of course great because it's a real grade. The head goes up, down, will turn around all the way. Head also has the forwards and backwards chicken movement. The arms, the shoulder itself goes out about this far, and the shoulder arm itself will go up that far. And then there's an extra hinge which allows it to go up about that far, giving it a really nice range of movement. Also, this little hatch here does go up, but you have to push it down yourself, which is something all the real grades have, so yeah, I can live with it. Then also moves forwards like that and backwards. Now, of course, because it's in a peg, it will also rotate around all the way, unsurprisingly. Also rotates below the shoulder. The elbow is on a double joint, giving a complete bend. The hands are pretty standard real grade hands. They've first of all got the floppy movement going on. They are of course on ball joints, so they will wiggle around, rotate, and do everything a ball joint does. And the fingers, you've got a separate index finger on a ball joint with an extra joint, and then you've got the thumb here, also on a ball joint, with once again an extra joint. And then you've got the bottom three fingers molded together on a single ball joint here, and once again on a hinge in the middle. Onto the waist, and this is some really nice articulation, even for a real grade. And the waist bends at 3 points. One for the top, then the bottom part here, and the bottom part here, giving him a really nice looking and very natural looking articulation. Forwards and backwards and even side to side. You can even, well, it actually gives him like the maneuverability of a giant ball joint. Now the backpack, these kind of wing thruster things go side to side, forwards a little bit, backwards a lot, and they even have some very nice mesh pipes here going on. There are also mesh pipes here, and you might not be able to see, but they're also down there. And the mesh pipes do not get in the way at all. So that's really nice. I really love what they did with these thruster things. Now the little thrusters here are on ball joints, individually on ball joints. Onto the legs, and those are once again great. For starters, side skirts go up about that far, front skirts are of course molded individually, go up by that far, leg goes out that far, and the back skirt, now a little bit special, this here, the holder for the bazooka, is connected to the crotch, while the back skirt isn't, so when you move this up, the holder still remains connected here. Which means that the Mark II can pull up the split without any problems. And he can even do it the other way around. That would hurt so much in real life. Now let's put it back together, and the legs will also rotate around all the way. Then you've got the double joint, the knee, some really nice separation going on. First of all, you've got this piece that slides out, and then you've got the blue knee piece that also slides out. As you can see, the gap here. And even this part here also separates a little bit. And it bends all the way like it should. Talking about separation, the arm also has a similar thing going on with this part here. Also very nice. And the feet, once again, well, the feet is actually the part I love the most, simply because of all the piston action going on. First of all, you've got these two pistons in here. When you pull the feet down, not only do these pistons go down, but this part here also goes down. I mean, the attention to detail with the Mark II is amazing, and it actually goes pretty well with the anime, because the Mark II was the first mobile suit to incorporate the so-called moving armor concept. So it actually makes a lot of sense that this is a very nicely designed real grade. Also, the thingy here also moves a little bit up and down. And now you can see the mesh pipe in there if the lighting's good. So a lot of movement going on with those feet. And well, because of this piston here, they only go side to side a little bit like that, but that's still more than enough. I mean, that's all you really need. You've got, of course, a foot guard that moves. You've got a little bit of forwards and backwards movement. Well, not really. Then you've got the toe joint and back like that. That's of course for the flying armor. Up not a lot. And then you've got a tiny bit of movement at the actual toe. But that's as good as nothing really. On to the accessories, and just like the articulation, they're going to be great. So let's get started with the parts you only get with the Titans version, which are the test parts. Now the test parts, I've already applied them on the Titans version, so let's bring in the Mark II, for, the AUG Mark II, for a quick comparison. First of all, these are actually all of the normal parts, so you do get quite a lot of parts extra for the same price. That's quite significant if you ask me. So, for the shoulder parts, you can see the top part is a little bit different. Also, the thing at the thruster is also different, and the thruster inside is also different. Another even more obvious change, the vent here is a lot more closed than the normal version, and the thrusters on the legs here are also very different. They're a lot more exposed than the final version. So they actually look very, very good. And you can even build your own custom Mach 2, because you can of course apply whatever you want. Some very nice extra play value, you could almost say. So, on to the weapons. For starters, you get his beam rifle. It's very nice, a lot of articulation actually. Got a moving handle, but not just a moving handle, you've also got a movable scope, so that it's protected when it's not in use. You've also got a removable cartridge, or an E-pack. And don't just get one, you actually get 4 of them. One just loose for you to loose, and 2 that are on the shield, which I'll show in an instant. Now, back to the beam rifle itself. Finally, it also has little pegs here, so that if you don't want to use it, you can peg it onto the side skirt. A very nice feature. Let's pull it back out and put it in the hand, as it also has a little peg here on the beam, on the handle. Unfortunately, unlike some of the older railgrades, you cannot pull it down and pull it out. But that's a little bit unfortunate if, let's say, you wanted him to have the beam rifle in his left hand. Well, you can still do it, just the peg is a tiny little bit in the way, but not that much actually, because these hands are capable of holding it. And there you go. He actually holds it quite well. Almost perfectly. It's just a little bit that the hands, well, that the fingers here are, they are bulging a little bit because of the peg. But the peg actually does a great job. Come on. Just peg it in there and... come on. There we go. Don't even have to hold the weapon. The peg just holds it well enough on its own. I mean, that's when you know it, you've got a great peg. And of course, he's perfectly able to grab onto the little stock here for dual wielding action. Onto the shield, like I said, it stores 2 extra E-packs for the gun, well, for the beam rifle, and I never noticed this, but noticed it, but they actually obscure the viewing hole. Great design there. Main feature of the shield is, this time it slides. Unlike the high grade, you don't have to peg it and to put it into its stored mode or into its extended mode. Another very cool feature of the shield is, and they took a little bit of artistic freedom and added a missile launcher. If you open it up, you can even see the 3 little missiles inside. So they actually went ahead and gave the shield a little bit of an offensive capability. Very nice. And you've got the storing handle. It's on a ball joint, very secure ball joint, and will of course peg into either of the arms. And there we go. Up next we have the bazooka, with a movable handle, and once again with a little peg here, and a removable cartridge. And just like little missile launcher here, if you open up the pack, it will reveal, I think, about 6 rockets. Some really nice detail, even though you don't see it, which is actually almost unfortunate because it's some really nice detail inside there. And you also get an extra pack, which, just like the beam rifle, has pegs that allow you to put it onto the side skirt. Oh yeah, I just want to point out that both the beam rifle and the bazooka ammo pack have those pegs on both sides, so you can peg them into either one of the skirts. Now, in order to wield these weapons, if for some reason the real great hands don't appeal to you, you've also got a standard trigger finger hand. Whoops. There we go. Now, as you can see, I haven't applied the bottom part yet, and it's holding it. I mean, that really shows you how good that peg really is. So, just close it and holds it perfectly. Now, a final thing you can do with the bazooka is open up the carrier rack here and put it in there. If you, of course, remove the hand. So, there we go. It's a little bit more flimsy than, let's say, the high grade, but overall, it's still a very nice fit. Now, the only problem is, like I said with the articulation, the back scud isn't connected to the carrier rack, so now we can no longer move the back scud. So, you're probably better off holding it in the hand, which I'm going to do right now. And talking about hands, you also get a multi-purpose open palm hand for the left hand. Now, one of the uses you can use it for is kind of pretending that you just swapped a magazine, or that you're going to swap it, or whatever. And you can, of course, use your imagination for a lot of different uses. Now, to quickly put this on here. There we go. One of his final weapons, his trademark earmuff things, Vulcans. Never been too much of a fan of these, but they do their thing. And they work great. Once you, of course, find the holes to plug them in. It's a little bit fiddly, but once they fit, they're not going to fall out. There we go. Like I said, they do their job. Now, let's put these out of the way and let's get on with the final accessory, well, the final weapon. The beam sabers, and they're on a little hinge. There we go. And then, they're actually pegged in two ways. First of all, you've got the peg that also connects to the hand, that pegs into here, and then it's connected with another little peg to a hinge for easy removal. And unfortunately, they decided to once again give us the master grade beams, which are, of course, ridiculously long, even bigger than the mobile suit itself. I was really hoping that they would go with the strike beam sabers, which are longer than their normal high-grade Universal Century, but they're still not as ridiculously long as the master grades. A little bit of a letdown, but, well, you win some and you lose some, because I'm pretty sure there are some people out there that really like these long master grade beams. I'm pretty sure they would have included them otherwise. Fitting them into the hand also is a little bit troublesome because of the length. Once you get them in there, yeah, and there we go. The length of the beam gives it some stability problems. I mean, if it's just in the hand, once you get it like this and once you get it stable, it will generally stay in there if you don't touch it. However, touch it too much and it will fly in all directions. Which is once again why I'm much more of a fan of the strikes beam. Whoops. Up to the final accessories, you get two of these extra closed fist hands, which you're probably not going to use. You've got a connector for an action base, and of course it wouldn't be a real grade without the little pilot figure. Talking about the pilot, when you open up the cockpit, which is a two-way process like it should be, first you open the big black part, then you open a small red part, You're probably not going to be able to see it, but as always, there's a seat in there, but no pilot. If they can mold a seat, why not just go the extra length and give us a pilot? A final little accessory, well, kind of accessory you also get is a second face mask. Just to make sure it's identical to the face mask you already have on the model. Now, you might wonder, why would they give us a second face mask? Well, I can tell you from experience, it's useful. When you take a look at the mouth, there's a tiny little V in the middle, and that part is actually very, very fragile. And like I said, I can tell from experience. When I tried to push in the mouthpiece of my RX-78-2, the middle V snapped. I was able to somewhat fix it, but when you look very closely, you can still see that it's a little bit wrong. Well, you can tell that something happened to it, and of course, you didn't get a second face mask with the RX-78-2. So yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, a little bit of articulation I forgot to point out is at the arm here, his wrist. The wrist itself also goes a little bit up and down for just a little bit extra maneuverability when, let's say, aiming the bazooka. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? One would. Absolutely. Every time I build a real grade, I'd say to myself, man, this guy is way better than the previous one. And in the Mark II's case, this was actually 200% the case. It's got great accessories, the colors look amazing, articulation is good as always, but the most important of all, unlike all of the other previous real grades, this guy feels solid. It doesn't feel like it's going to shatter when you look at it. I mean, a quick comparison with the RX-78-2. You move the arm, shoulder armor pops off. You move the leg, skirt armor falls off. You touch it, the bazooka flails around. You try to aim the beam rifle falls off. I mean, it doesn't matter what you touch and how gently you try to do it, something will fall off. You can throw this at a wall and it will still be in one piece. That was a figure of speech. Don't actually try that. Now, so this is definitely worth buying. For 2,500 yen, you actually get, well, this is pretty much a miniature master grade. I think they finally managed to pull it off. A miniature master grade. Of course, an actual master grade is just a tiny little bit more solid, but man, they're getting so close now. Oh, now, you of course also have the AUG version. And now you might be wondering, man, which one should I get? I simply cannot decide, and you only want to buy one of them. Well, if you're not sure, go for the Titans version. Simply because you get more for the same price. The only real advantage that the AUG version has over the Titans version is that the much lighter color scheme shows the panel lines a lot better. And, well, if you're lazy, that might mean that you actually like the Titans version better because you don't really have to panel line it, because you won't see it all that much anyway. So if you're lazy, once again, go for the Titans version. Now for some size comparisons, and this is, well, a little bit of a disappointment, but it seems that the Titan, well, the Mark II, is a little bit too small. When you compare him to the high-grade Universal Century, he's actually a lot smaller. Now, you might think that because this is the real grade, that this is the real scale. But no, when you compare it to the RX-78-2, the head height of the Mark II should be the same as the total size of the RX-78-2. And that means the beam saber. And it's actually just head height that's the same. That's quite unfortunate. And when I take the high-grade Universal Century, you can see that, well, his head height is actually the total height of the Gundam. So one of the rare cases where the high-grade universal century does something better. But really, that's all the problem in sizing you've got. Because overall, this guy does look better in terms of proportions than the high-grade universal century. The legs just look way better and not as chunky, and they tried to do the pistons here, so yeah. Overall, this guy is simply amazing. And I cannot wait for what they're going to do with the Zeta Gundam. Because like I said, they just keep on making these guys better. Now, final comparison shot with the Jim Quell. And oh yeah, let's do another one with an actual Black Gundam. Well, that's all for this review, and see you at the next one. Bye.